is here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Well, it's amazing what a new president, a new administration can do when you have serious people handling foreign policy. I clearly, at least for now, underestimated this Rex Tillerson fellow. I did. And I think this Nikki Haley is absolutely outstanding. And look at the change with China already. China, at least based on initial reports, is leaning on North Korea. And look at the change with Russia. Russia is on its heels right now. And I suspect, I can't be sure, that the Trump team is creating a wedge between Russia and China by cozying up more to China and staring down Russia. I suspect Trump has been listening to Henry Kissinger, who plays these sort of chess games. I'm not sure. But you can see it playing out right in front of your eyes. Here's the thing, folks. Pretty much if you ignore the media and all the analysts on cable TV, you'll be able to figure out a lot of this stuff yourselves. Just look at what's taking place. Now, in response to the attack on the Syrian base as a result of Syria violating, yet again, its agreement not to use chemical weapons, which it did, and Russia's agreement to inventory and destroy Syria's chemical weapons, which it did not, and Russia again today vetoing in the Security Council sanctions against Syria. Truthfully, about a week ago, a little less actually, five and a half days ago, we hit this Syrian base, and what have the Russians done about it? They haven't done a damn thing. Our economy is 4-5 times bigger than the Russian economy, and the Russian economy right now is on its back. And I was thinking about this today. The way you defeat Putin, I mean defeat him now, is the way Reagan defeated the Soviet Union. Now is the time to build up the military. Not 3% above sequestration rates, but 6 or 7%. And unleash the economy. Fight for those tax cuts. Fight for economic growth. It'll crush Putin. And you know who else it'll damage? The Chinese. Without firing a shot. Capitalism is that way. Not autocracy and capitalism, not communism and an odd sort of capitalism, but capitalism. American. Market capitalism. That's how you do it, for the most part. And we have to build up our military because Obama did enormous damage to our military, as he did to everything else. Our health care program, our immigration system, our Constitution, you name it, our courts. Obama was, as I said, all during his 2 terms, a one-man wrecking ball. But the changes, folks, are for the positive. Russia now takes the United States seriously. China clearly takes the United States seriously. And North Korea, well, the inbred Kim Jong fat boy, he can continue to be somewhat reckless, but China already has refused to accept coal from North Korea, its biggest export, and its biggest export partner, China. They refuse. They turn the ships back, and they take an American coal. These are little things, but they're important things. They're important things. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know what's going to happen 6 months from now, 12 months from now. I'm not sure if this administration's policies will be consistent. I'm not sure If China is playing us for suckers, who knows? I'm talking about today. What's going on today? Nikki Haley, as her ambassador to the UN, as opposed to Samantha Powers, it's night and day. Absolutely night and day. And the Secretary of State, John Kerry, what a disgrace. So sometimes we got to look at these things and they're very positive. And even if they're surprising, they're positive, right? Now, as you know, I believe, and I have made the case, I think, for some time that the Obama administration abused our intelligence apparatus and information and politicized it. That doesn't mean there weren't bad actors or what. I have no idea, but that's not the point. Now, almost 6 weeks ago this Thursday, I went through those articles. I called them exhibits, including a couple articles that had indicated that the Obama administration had gone to the FISA court based on public records. Had gone to the FISA court to get a warrant to eavesdrop on Trump world in some respects. Trump surrogates, who knew? And the report was they pulled that off in the summer, June or July, and they had Trump's name, allegedly, in the report. In the application, it was turned down. But then it said in October it went back without Trump's name in it, and it was secured. According to the Washington Post, as it broke last night, headline, FBI obtained FISA warrant to monitor Trump advisor Carter Page. Now, interestingly, in this report, I'll analyze it like nobody else here, they said they got an extension. And also the investigation began this summer. So I suspect what happened is they went to the FISA court with whatever they went, and Carter Page was in the original request, and they got it. And then they got an extension in October. Think about it. July, August, September, October. The FISA warrant lasts 90 days. They went back and they got another one on Carter Page. I don't know if Carter Page did anything. I feel bad for the guy in this sense. His name's being thrown around all over the place. I've never met him. I know nothing about this guy. But you'd think he would have sold, 20% of our uranium to Russia the way they're talking about this guy. I have no knowledge about him, but that's not even the point of what I'm discussing. So those earlier reports about the FISA courts were right, at least in some respects, right? Here is from earlier in March. My back and forth with Brian Stetler. He is a purported reporter for the CNN. And here's what he tweeted. Levin emailed me, quote, "Do you deny there were 2 FISA applications," unquote? I replied, quote, "I don't know. You don't know. The reporting is very murky," unquote. So I wrote an open letter to Mr. Stelter, and really for the entire media, and I said, don't you care? Why don't you dig into it? Why don't you know? Oh, well, we are, he says. Oh, we are. But you don't know if there was one. You don't know. You don't know. And I said, well, I'm just citing reports. Well, we don't know if those reports are correct. So they were in full Praetorian Guard mode. Because remember, the issue was police state tactics used against the Trump campaign in transition or some aspect of Trump world. Remember? That was my take. That the Obama administration needs to be a focus here. No one has still, all this time has passed, explained why the Obama administration waited till January 3rd. January 3rd to expand the distribution of intelligence information allowed by the NSA under 1233, Executive Order 1233. Why did they do that? Now, I told you why, but that's not the point. They have Susan Rice. They don't ask her. They've got this clown, James Clapper. They don't ask him. They had this John Brennan, former CIA director. They don't ask him. They don't ask anybody. Because they don't want to know. Or at least they don't want a formal answer. So we have another leak. More felonies committed. More felonies committed. The FBI obtained FISA warrant to monitor Trump advisor Carter Page. Actually, they got a warrant that was extended. They got the first one, and it was extended for an additional period of time. Because apparently, and they cite the application, and they said they got the warrant because they made the case that Carter Page is a foreign agent for the Russians. And then all today, they were trying to tie Carter Page to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has never talked to Carter Page. Well, he was a formal advisor, and then they kind of downgraded him to an informal advisor, and then they just kind of got rid of him. Wow, what a connection. What a connection, right, America? Like I said, I don't know anything about Carter Page. Maybe he didn't do a damn thing. It's an investigation. And remember how you get a warrant. A FISA warrant. The government goes before the government. That is, the executive branch goes in front of the judiciary and makes its case. Carter Page isn't even aware of it. Nobody's there except the FBI and the judge. And they make their case. Maybe they made the case for others. Maybe other people are covered by these warrants. We don't know. But what does it tell you, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, there was spying on the Trump campaign. This guy, on the one hand, the media want it both ways. On the one hand, they say, look how close he is to Trump. On the other hand, when you say, wow, they were spying, so, well, you can't prove that they were wiretapping Trump. This is just part and parcel of something that went on here. Now, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. And you know what's interesting? With these cherry-picked leaks, there's a game going on with the Praetorian Guard media like the Washington Post. And by the way, they just got Pulitzer Prizes, them and the New York Times, for all their great reporting on the connection between Trump and the Russians. Trump and the Russians don't even talk to each other right now, do they? Not to the best of my knowledge. Seem to be some issues there. I'm sure Putin would rather be dealing today with Hillary Clinton and her Secretary of State, whomever that might be, rather than Donald Trump and his Secretary of State. But all this, we have CNN yesterday, had a breaking story. A breaking story that the information House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes came up with is all phony, all a fraud. He's a liar. Because they have sources on the House Intelligence Committee, Democrats and maybe some Republicans, and staffers, all anonymous, every damn one of them, who say there's nothing to this. Nothing to the fact that they had these intelligence reports with Susan Rice unmasking names, circulating it among other people. No big deal. Susan Rice didn't do anything wrong. In other words, their original, not even their original reporting, the original defense of Susan Rice by former Obama officials is now the official news report of CNN. Now, I want to get into this briefly. We have a lot to do today. We're going to have a lot of fun. But I have to take a break. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Sciutto is the CNN chief national security correspondent. He was prior to that a high-level Obama appointee in foreign policy. Unbelievable, isn't it? I want you to listen to his report last night on CNN with Manu Raju. Cut 19, go.
Both Republican and Democratic lawmakers and aides are casting doubt on claims by Nunes that Obama administration officials improperly requested the names of U.S. individuals that had been redacted in intelligence documents. CNN sources say that these lawmakers have now seen the same intelligence documents that Nunes reviews last month.
Which lawmakers? Which lawmakers? We know about Nunes. He's out front. Name, face, serial number. Which lawmakers? Go ahead.
And they see no evidence that the Obama administration officials did anything out of the ordinary or illegal. One congressional source described the request to me as, quote, normal and appropriate.
Mono, I know you and Jim have talked to sources who have actually seen the documents. What are they telling you about their contents?
Well, Anderson, one congressional source telling me that there's, quote, absolutely no smoking gun.
All right, thanks a lot. So you can see this is the CNN cover-up. But when there was a smoking gun, there still is, by the way. Here's what Don Lemon on CNN said on April 3rd. Cut 20, go.
It has been 1 month since the President of the United States falsely tweeted that former President Barack Obama wiretapped him. 1 month later, the White House and the President are still trying to make a lie true. And they're using the President's Twitter account, the White House press briefing podium, and right-wing media to do it. Today, it's a claim that President Obama's former National Security Advisor, Susan Rice, unmasked the names of Trump associates. We will talk about that in detail in just a moment on this very program. And last week, it was a debunked talking point that former Obama administration official Evelyn Farkas admitted spying on the Trump team. She did no such thing. The week before that,
all right, thanks, pal. Now here's Chris Cuomo the next day, CNN 21, go.
President Trump, right-wing media types peddling a fake scandal. What is it? Well, this suggestion that former Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice improperly unmasked the identity of Trump.
All right, shut up. He's the dumbest of the Cuomos, so you get the drift. And, of course, they did the same thing last night. Except, of course, now they want to report it. Well, here's a headline from Fox News. Congress expands unmasking probe amid questions over Rice role. The House and Senate Intelligence Committees are expanding their investigation into the so-called unmasking controversy, Fox News has learned, to examine whether other candidates or lawmakers beyond President Trump's associates were affected. Until now, the investigation focused on how the identities and communications of Trump transition members were collected by U.S. intelligence agencies and then revealed to and disseminated among high-ranking members of the Obama administration. So which is it? Is Congress advancing and expanding its investigation? Yes. But CNN spoke to a couple of anonymous sources who said, there's really nothing here. Case closed. I'll be right back.
You know, you're one of the greatest champions of freedom in this country, if not in the English-speaking world, Mark.
Call Mark at 877-381-3811.
Well, thank you, Mr. Vice President. Much appreciated. We have an excellent reporter from Fox News, Adam Housley, who has really been on top of this issue of the unmasking, Susan Rice, and the probe. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You have a piece in Fox News today saying that Congress is going to expand the unmasking. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some internal battles going on, as you might imagine. They won't go on the record because of the ongoing investigation, and they're all off on Easter. But we have it from both the congressional side, the House side, and the Senate side, that they plan on looking into other avenues, not just whether the Trump team was unmasked and some other stuff done like reverse targeting, or maybe other people might have been caught up in this, and they have reason to believe. They haven't told us what that is and how deep it goes, but there's clearly been a change in rhetoric, again, off camera to myself and my co-reporter Malia Zimmerman in the last couple of days before we got we're not sure, maybe we're going to look, and obviously we have our sources that are intel that we've been working with, a lot of them. And so it was a little bit different, a little bit of a surprise, actually, to hear that from the elected folks in the last day.
So these are okay, I'm not going to press you on your sources. That's not my point. But these are credible people on the intelligence committees, both of them, who apparently now are going to expand the investigation on this unmasking aspect and look even beyond the Trump folks because they think they know something, or they've seen something, or they've heard something, I guess. Yeah,
and they're obviously very careful what they tell us. It's kind of interesting, because the perception by some in the media is that this is driven by the right, which it's not at all. At least in the case of myself and my colleague. We're going on what we're finding and what we've been told by people that don't have a political horse in the race. They're not a political appointee. They're not a member of, a party per se when it comes to that. They're they're career people in the intelligence services that are concerned about stuff they say was going on. And so we've been, working with them as much as we can and as safely as we can in regards to not, getting anything that's classified or would put anybody in any jeopardy. And so you add those sources to what's going on in the elected side, and then that's why you have your spin really comes from the elected side, from the House and the Senate. So, there seems to be a lot there. They've seen something apparently. I know that a lot of people keep referring back to the Wall Street Journal report from December 2015. I think we spoke about it before, which talked about how congressmen and women were caught up in surveillance of Benjamin Netanyahu when he was coming to Washington to basically lobby against the Iran deal, and how that really upset a lot of people in Congress.
But what do you make of CNN yesterday? And I'm not trying to, news organization versus news organization, but they come out, and their former reporter worked in the Obama administration, but they come out and they say, our sources tell us on the Intel, the House Intel Committee, that they looked at these documents and there's absolutely nothing there, and the law wasn't broken. Well, nobody said per se that the law was broken, but Susan Rice didn't do anything wrong, so move along.
Well, I'm not here to pick apart someone else's report. I saw it. I think there are a lot of problems with it. They didn't really explain correctly how the documents are seen. And the issue, their sources, according to their article, seem to be only people on the committee. We've talked to a lot on the committee that say otherwise. They are correct in saying that there's a question about whether or not anything is legal here, and primarily that's the reason why this is an interesting story. Is because there was a lot of ways that things could be done that weren't necessarily illegal, but they weren't necessarily scrupulous either. And then it can get a lot worse. In particular, if it's found out that people were leaking for political purposes and stuff like that, which as some people have alleged, that would obviously ramp this thing up significantly. I see those reports and stuff, and I can't really say those people are lying or cheating or wrong or whatever. All I know is what we have, and what we have is completely truthful. And, I'm not, I have, as you have told you before, Mark, I have no horse in this game. I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat. I don't care if the president likes my reports or not, or loves or hates my reports or not. All I care about is making sure we find the truth. And there's something here. My meter went off. My BS meter went off when the first guy called me about this story. I went, whoa, this doesn't sound right. Something sounds like this could be an interesting thing to look into. And it gradually expanded from there. And I can tell you that there seems to be a lot there. It's just a matter of finding a way to get it without, as securely and safely and legally as possible. And that's what we're doing.
And even look at this Washington Post report now, confirming that there was, in fact, a FISA warrant that involved this guy, Carter Page. There have been earlier reports by other sources about the FISA application last summer, FISA application October. And when I talked about it and simply read about it and tried to put these things together, there were news outlets out there that were dismissing this, saying, I can't prove it. Well, of course I can't prove it. I am repeating what earlier reports said. Now that has come to pass. So the question is, in my view, whether some of these FISA applications identified other people and on what basis they were approved.
Well, the interesting thing to me is when he was interviewed today on our air by one of my colleagues, and, he insisted, listen, I worked with Russia. There's nothing illegal here. I want to be open. And that's what he said. Now, of course, that'll be looked into. But my question is, if they surveilled him since August, and there's been no indictment, I'm not sticking up for the guy, but it's like, that's a long time to surveil somebody, and either he's a darn good spy or there's nothing there. And that's what my thing is, the article, the story that the question I didn't see anybody ask was, we should be asking the question to authorities, are you going to file something against him? Did this surveillance result in any possible case or action? I didn't see that part of the story covered. I'm curious.
In fact, Adam Housley, the story went on and on about, doesn't mean he committed a crime. He may never be charged with a crime. It doesn't mean he did this. It doesn't mean he did that. Now, you and I don't know what he did or what he didn't do, but the fact is it was an odd story.
Well, also, wasn't there, I believe in the hearing, I can't remember who was the person that testified, said that there were no FISAs. So now, which is it? This is kind of similar.
Whoa, wait a minute. This is a profound point. It was Clapper on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd The former director, this is a great point you just made, of the National Intelligence, former director, who said he's unaware of any FISA.
Right.
That's correct.
Well, Mark, we had the same issue when I did your show a long time ago on Benghazi. I know that it tends to be a political hot potato as well. And just so you know, our reporting also questioned some of the Republican actions in regards to that fateful night. We were told, a story that I did at one point was that there was a team in Croatia that was training. And I'll never forget, for 3 months, we were bashed by other people in the media, other news outlets. I was at one of my colleagues was at an event in D.C., and they walked by and said, "Hey, when are you and that kid from California?" Even though I'm not a kid. I guess that was kind of flattering. Said, "When are you and that kid from California doing your next Homeland script?" Stuff like that was said to us. And then, well, gosh darn it, 3 months later, when a report came out, guess what there was in Croatia? And guess what was said by the news media at that point? Oh, well, they said there was a team there. They've admitted it now. Well, why were we lied to for 3 months? So it's kind of the same thing with this as we're going forward. I mean, at this point, we don't know what went down. We're getting a lot of information. It's a lot to sort through. We got to make sure we get it right. Clearly, Congress, and I think what we're reporting, and this is very fair, and you look at our reports have been nothing but fair. Clearly, Congress, and both houses, is concerned. Now, I do know a couple of people on the Democratic side who are quietly saying they're concerned. They're not obviously going nearly as far as the Republicans are in this, because of the administration. Obviously they were opposed to the administration for the most part. So, you're going to have more Republican outrage, but they're the congressional folks are concerned about this, and I would say a majority are, and you can include some Democrats in that. They're just being very careful because it potentially could involve members of their party. And that's what it seems like, at least, so far. So, there are some potential questions here, especially if some of the stuff that's being alleged is found to be true.
All right, Adam Hasley, we're going to keep tracking you and your colleague here because you have some excellent reporting going on, and I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate, Mark, the support, and as you know, we're not going to put anything forward that we can't prove 100%.
Well, that's key. It's very important. All right, my man.
Absolutely.
God bless. Take care of yourself. Now, we have James Clapper. What was the date of this? It was the Sunday after the Thursday where I did my radio show, right, Mr. Producer? We think March 5th. James Clapper on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd. Go ahead.
I can say, obviously I can't speak officially anymore, but I will say that for the part of the national security apparatus that I oversaw as DNI, there was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign. I can't speak for other Title III authorized entities in the government or a state or local entity.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if the FBI, for instance, had a FISA court order of some sort for a surveillance, would that be information you would know or not know?
Yes.
You would be told this?
I would know that.
If there was a FISA court order
yes.
on something like this?
Something like this, absolutely.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists?
I can deny it.
There is no FISA court order?
Not to my knowledge.
Of anything at Trump Tower?
No.
Well, that's an important revelation at this point.
Wow. Now I know what they'll do. We said Trump Tower. No. It was broader than that. At best, he was misleading. At best, he was misleading. I think he's a liar. But at best, he was misleading. Now, I want you to hear it again, because here we have an article from the Washington Post. FBI obtained FISA warrant to monitor Trump advisor Carter Page. They got it in the summer. It was extended. It began in July, as a matter of fact. It was extended 3 months later for another 3 months or so. We don't know if other people were covered and so forth. This has been leaked to the Washington Post. Meanwhile, Mr. Clapper, on NBC News, Meet the Press with Chuck Todd, just a little under 6 weeks ago, 5.5 weeks ago, again, hit it, Mr. Producer.
I can say, obviously I can't speak officially anymore, but I will say that for the part of the national security apparatus that I oversaw as DNI, there was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign. I can't speak for other Title III authorized entities in the government or a state or local entity.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if the FBI, for instance, had a FISA court order of some sort for a surveillance, would that be information you would know or not know?
Yes.
You would be told this.
I would know that.
If there was a FISA court order
Yes.
on something like this.
Something like this, absolutely.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists?
I can deny it.
There is no FISA court order?
Not to my knowledge.
Of anything at Trump Tower?
No.
Well, that's an important revelation at this point.
From the Washington Post piece. From the Washington Post piece last night, in the print edition this morning. The application also showed that the FBI and Justice Department National Security Division had been seeking since July to determine how broad a network of accomplices Russia enlisted in attempting to influence the 2016 presidential election, the officials said. Since the 90-day warrant was first issued, it has been renewed more than once by the FISA court, the officials said. In February, Carter Page told PBS NewsHour that he was a junior member of the Trump campaign's Foreign Policy Advisory Group. A former Trump campaign advisor said Page submitted policy and so forth and so on. So they made an application more than once. They extended it. Mr. Clapper would have known about it. It was broader than Mr. Page in terms of the justification. There's this big investigation going on, still going on, counterintelligence investigation by the FBI. And Mr. Clapper, 5.5 weeks ago on March 5th, on a Sunday on Meet the Press, said there was no FISA court warrant. And really, Chuck Todd and Mr. Clapper did that to counter this program, which pointed out that there had been FISA court reports in the news media. When I put this together to suggest that what was going on here by the Obama administration was an outrageous politicization of our intelligence activities. And I believe it now more than ever. And I believe there are a handful of real journalists and media outlets that want to get to the bottom of this. And then there are cover-up artists at CNN, including their chief national security reporter who used to work for Barack Obama in foreign relations, and the cover-up artists at NBC and MSNBC. It's a disgrace. And the cover-up artists at CBS and ABC with Brian Ross, and that fool on the Morning Schmo show, the guy from Deliverance, Joe Scarborough, and his moronic sidekick, Mika Brzezinski, who doesn't even know when she's a breaking story with Evelyn Farkas. All you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is put together the public record. The public record is handing us everything. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
It's amazing what things come to the fore during this program. It really is. Here we have a reporter, excellent reporter, Fox News, Adam Hauser. He says a passing comment. And we go back and we listen to the audio of James Clapper, who said there was no FISA warrant. And the Washington Post today has an entire multi-column story on the leaks about the FISA warrant. There's a lot going on here, and we got to get to the bottom of this, folks. A breach of an online tool used for federal student loan applications may have compromised up to 100,000 taxpayers. The IRS data tool allows tax returns to be uploaded to the free application for federal student aid. Identity thieves use stolen data to file fake tax returns, and the IRS estimates that 8,000 fraudulent refunds were issued, totaling $30 million. The tool was taken offline in March after the breach was discovered, and the IRS has started notifying people who may have been affected. You know, identity theft happens when thieves use your information to pretend they're you, and it's easier and easier to get it. And they can liquidate your bank accounts or even get retirement funds. So LifeLock scans hundreds of millions of transactions every second. And if they detect your information, they send you an alert. If you have a problem, a U.S.-based agent will work to fix it. Free credit monitoring only alerts you to changes in credit. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But LifeLock, ladies and gentlemen, is the platinum standard in my view. So go to LifeLock.com, LifeLock.com, or call 1-800-LifeLock. That's 1-800-LifeLock. Now, make sure you use my last name as the promo code so you can get 10% off. 10% off LifeLock Ultimate Plus membership. So just tell them Levin, L-E-V-I-N. Levin, L-E-V-I-N. Get 10% off your LifeLock Ultimate Plus membership. Call 1-800-LifeLock. That's 1-800-LifeLock. So let's try and pull all this together. What have we learned today? We have learned that despite CNN, which is running interference for the Obama administration and the Democrat Party, Fox News and its reputable reporters, and I mean this, these are two reputable reporters, are reporting that both intelligence committees, the one in the House and the Senate, are expanding their investigations to include not just Susan Rice and these documents and the unmasking of Trump transition team members and so forth, but to determine the extent to which this actually went, whether it included other politicians and other citizens and who was doing what. And let's hope they really can get to the bottom of this. What else have we learned? The Washington Post has aided and abetted another felony with a leak about a FISA court application this summer, which has been extended numerous times, involving a gentleman by the name of Carter Page. For all we know, it's even more than that. And we remember that the CNN denied that there had been any FISA applications when I confronted this issue. And moreover, James Clapper, the former director of national intelligence who runs the Umbrella Group, said there was no FISA court application. We'll be back.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Just to underscore this, and then we're going to move along. To underscore this because, we're at the point of the spear on this. CNN is basically downplaying anything related to Susan Rice, her unmasking of information, the spreading of that information about innocent American citizens throughout the intelligence and law enforcement bureaucracy of the federal government. And, of course, CNN would do that since its chief reporter used to work directly for Obama in foreign relations, and CNN, when these matters first broke, took the position that it was nothing but a right-wing conspiracy. Because over at CNN, they are absolutely nuts. Absolutely out-of-the-closet nuts. When, in fact, as Fox's Adam Housley is reporting with his colleague, Congress is, in fact, expanding the investigation in the House and Senate on this unmasking probe amid questions over not only Rice's role, but if other individuals, in addition to Trump transition people and so forth, were abused in this fashion as well. We also learned from the Washington Compost that, in fact, there was a FISA application, as previously reported. We have a little bit more information because the felony leaks are coming fast and furious to the left-wing media, trying to embarrass the administration, involving Carter Page. Now, prior to this, CNN Brian Stetzler said that there was no evidence whatsoever, and, of course, CNN was working very hard to find out if there were, in fact, FISA court orders of any kind, and apparently they came up empty because they're working so hard to find out. Now, the Washington Post reports this as a major revelation to harm the Trump team. I'm reporting what they're saying as yet another major revelation. And number one, felonies being committed, leaks for the purpose of trying to disrupt and sabotage this administration. But even more, number two, as further evidence that the Obama administration had politicized intelligence gathering and intelligence techniques and aimed them internally. See, this is an incidental collection of information where they happen to be surveilling the Russian ambassador and so forth. This is a direct, it's not per se a wiretap, but it's the equivalent of it. It is surveillance of an American citizen, and they had to go to the FISA court and make the case, a probable cause case, that he was a foreign agent for the Russians. And so that's where we are. Furthermore, as a result of my Just finished an interview with Adam Housley, a reporter for Fox News. The Washington Post reports this FISA, right? And now we can report that James Clapper has more explaining to do. 5.5 weeks ago, Sunday, March 5th, there he is on Meet the Depressed with former Democrat Hill staffer Chuck Todd. And James Clapper knows nothing about this FISA stuff. But he would know about it because, of course, it involves national security and the Russians and all the rest. But here's what happened. Go ahead.
Obviously, I can't speak officially anymore, but I will say that for the part of the national security apparatus that I oversaw as DNI, there was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign. I can't.
Stop. Or against his campaign, okay? Go ahead.
Or other Title III authorized entities in the government, or a state or local entity.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if the FBI, for instance, had a FISA court order of some sort for a surveillance, would that be information you would know or not know?
Yes.
You would be told.
Would that be information you know or not know? Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
If there was a FISA court order on something like this.
Something like this, absolutely.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists?
I can deny it.
There is no FISA court order?
Not to my knowledge.
Of anything at Trump Tower?
No.
Well, that's an important revelation at this point.
Now, even though Chuck Todd narrowed it to Trump Tower, prior to that, it was not narrowed to Trump Tower, right, Mr. Producer? Having anything to do with the campaign. Having anything to do with the campaign. This is rather interesting, isn't it? Just use your common sense, folks. Just use your common sense. I am telling you that aspects of the Trump campaign, as I said now a month and a half ago, were under investigation. They were under investigation using intelligence techniques, not just incidental collection of information, but more. That would be bad enough, unmasking and circulating and all the rest. And Obama administration officials still have not been forced to explain to the media why they changed the NSA rule in terms of the circulation of information. They still have not explained which White House officials, plural, as the New York Times reported in early March, had access to intelligence information that they circulated. And if they had access to intelligence information that was meaningless, I would say to CNN, then why did they want to protect it and circulate it? Well, it had to do with the Russians. Well, if it had to do with the Russians, then it may have involved a FISA court warrant. Correct? Correct. So they had access to information about related to a FISA court warrant, and we're distributing it throughout the government. This gets worse and worse, not better and better. So exactly what intelligence information, quote-unquote, did White House officials, quote-unquote, have that they felt the need to protect, quote-unquote, and circulate, quote-unquote? And who are these White House officials, quote-unquote? Officials with an S. Yes. All right. Russia. The Ruskies. Now, I harbor no animosity toward Russians. My ancestry is mostly Russian. But thank God, a few generations ago, they escaped the pogroms and they came to the United States. And I hold no quarter. I mean, I assume the early Trump supporters are really beside themselves right now. Trump said he came to the defense of NATO today. He said China is not manipulating currency anymore. He has shot 59 missiles into Syria. I mean, this is all counter to what Trump was campaigning on. There's no question about that. There's no question about that whatsoever. Bannon is under attack from the Gary Cohn, Powell, Kirshner wing of the White House, apparently. According to recent reports, if you believe them, the president's lost or losing faith in him. I just wish there were some constitutional conservatives helping the president develop policy and dealing with what's going on, particularly domestically, but apparently not. Apparently not. So we now have infighting between liberal Democrats and national populists, and soon there'll be infighting potentially just among liberal Democrats surrounding the President of the United States. Rex Tillerson in Moscow today. Cut 1, go.
Clearly, our view is that the reign of the Assad family is coming to an end. And they have, again, brought this on themselves with their conduct of the war these past few years. We discussed our view that Russia, as their closest ally in the conflict, perhaps has the best means of helping Assad recognize this reality. We do think it's important that Assad's departure is done in an orderly way, so that certain interests and constituencies that he represents feel they have been represented at the negotiating table for a political solution. How that occurs, we leave that to the process going forward. We do not think one has to occur before the other can begin, and it will take a pace of its own. But the final outcome, in our view, does not provide for a role for Assad or for the Assad family in the future governance of Syria.
So this is Tillerson in Moscow today. Cut 2, go.
What about the war crimes charges?
We discussed the issue that as time goes by and more evidence continues to be gathered, it is possible that the threshold necessary to charge individuals, including Bashar al-Assad, may be achieved. As you know, this is a very high legal hurdle in order to bring such charges against an individual. So I would not suggest to you that all of that evidence is in place, but I think the longer time goes by, it's possible that the case will be made, and there are certain individuals who are working to make that case.
Now, he's saying this during the press conference, right, Mr. Producer? So he's out there, he's putting it to him. Cut 3, go.
With respect to Russia's complicity or knowledge of the chemical weapons attack, we have no firm information to indicate that there was any involvement by Russian forces into this attack. What we do know, and we have very firm and high confidence in our conclusions, that the attack was planned, carried out by the regime forces at the direction of Bashar al-Assad.
One more, cut 4, go.
We discussed no change in the status of sanctions that have been in place with Russia as a result of certain actions taken in Ukraine, as you know. I think as to the question of the interference with the election, that is fairly well established in the United States, and I think that has been spoken to on the Hill as well with the Congress, and it is a serious issue. It's one that we know is serious enough to attract additional sanctions. And so we are mindful of the seriousness of that particular interference in our elections, and I'm sure that Russia is mindful of it as well.
Have you ever heard such blunt talking? There is the Russian foreign minister. This is fascinating to me. And it's progress, big time. Big time. And as I was listening to Tillerson, given the position of the Trump administration, and again, I could be wrong. We're all, looking at this and wondering what's going to happen in the future. I don't think Russia is going to move too fast or hard now to further threaten the Ukraine or some of the other countries that surround it. I could be dead wrong. I admit that up front. But I think they're very concerned at this point. Now, Sergei Lavrov, who's been around forever, he's the big thuggish-looking Russian who's about twice the height of Putin. Putin's the little fella. In Moscow today, did Rex threaten Russia with more sanctions? Cut 5, go.
State Secretary hasn't threatened to use new sanctions. He hasn't threatened us at all. We have had a frank discussion about the issues on our agenda. And unfortunately, we've got some difficulties with regards to the majority of those issues.
Oh. Well, I thought they paid and bought Trump. Now they've got difficulty with the majority of the issues. Cut 6, go.
If you look at the facts, over the last 18 months, the coalition set up by the Obama administration did almost nothing to achieve the objective that it had stated when being established. It had not fought consistently against the al-Nusra Front or ISIS until the Russian airspace forces were deployed in Syria. And even after this deployment of our forces, the U.S.-led coalition under the Obama administration only performed strikes against certain posts held by ISIS, and it was always sparing the al-Nusra Front.
Well, we can all agree that Obama was an appeaser and an incompetent. I think most of the world can agree with that. Donald Trump on the Fox Business Channel today. Cut 7, go.
We're not going into Syria, but when I see people using horrible, horrible chemical weapons, which they agreed not to use under the Obama administration, but they violated it.
They said they got rid of them.
Hey, look, what I did should have been done by the Obama administration a long time before I did it. And you would have had a much better, I think Syria would be a lot better off right now than it has been.
Cut 8, go.
Frankly, Putin is backing a person that's truly an evil person. And I think it's very bad for Russia. I think it's very bad for mankind. It's very bad for this world. But when you drop gas or bombs or barrel bombs, they have these massive barrels with dynamite, and they drop them right in the middle of a group of people. And in all fairness, you see the same kids, no arms, no legs, no face. This is an animal.
Mm-hmm. Now, Trump on Chinese dictator President Xi and how the Syria airstrikes were discussed when he was meeting with him at Mar-a-Lago. Cut 9, go.
When you were with the president of China, you're launching these military strikes.
Yeah.
Was that planned? How did that come about that it's happening right then? Because right there you're saying, a reminder, here's who the superpower in the world is.
You have no idea how many people want to hear the answer to this. I have watched speculation for 3 days now on what that was like.
When did you tell us?
But I'll tell you.
Before dessert?
But I will tell you. I was sitting at the table. We had finished dinner. We're now having dessert. And we had the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake that you've ever seen. And I was given...
Whoa. We had the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake you've ever seen at the greatest golf course we've ever been at. Anyway, go ahead.
Message from the generals that the ships are locked and loaded. What do you do? And we made a determination to do it. So the missiles were on the way.
Yeah, that's what I was told. While they were eating dinner, near the end of the dinner, he directed that the missiles should be fired. And then they continued to eat dessert. Let them eat cake. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
So today the president has said that no, China's not manipulating its currency. Now, as a matter of fact, China is manipulating its currency. That's a fact. But he said it's not manipulating its currency. He said he thinks President Xi of China wants to help us with North Korea. And I hope that's true. I very much hope that's true. I mean, it seems to, at least temporarily. You know, China, look, the Chinese communists understand the long history of China. So they're in this for 1,000 years. That's the way they view this. They look back 1,000 years and they look ahead 1,000 years. I'm quite serious about this. We look to the next news cycle. We look to the next news cycle and we're supposed to forget all about American history and all history, period. Everything begins today and everything ends at the end of the day, and then we start again tomorrow. So that's the Chinese, or the official Chinese mindset. We'll be right back. You know, when you write a book, I mean, when you actually write it and other people don't write it for you and you slap your name on it, when you actually do the research and the scholarship and you write the book and you decide what to put in it and the arguments to make and so forth, and then when you complete it, and then when you go back and read it again before you submit it to the publisher, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. People say, oh, you must do it for the money and so forth. It takes me a year, 16 months to write this. If I wanted to make a lot more money, I wouldn't be writing books on the side. I'd be doing something else. But that's neither here nor there. I am so excited about this book. I'm really grinding my teeth because it doesn't come out till July 4th. I am so excited about this book. And I'm excited about it because I think you're going to really, really dig it. I think you're going to really jump into it. Now, the subjects are complicated and difficult, but I try and do the best I can to make them as simple as possible, understandable, and more than that, interesting. And I've done this book a little differently. I give you the original sources. I give you the dates that the philosophers or the thinkers or the founders or whomever lived. I don't just cite books in the back in the notes. I actually put it in the body of the book now. And I give you the date the book was published. Or the writing was published in the case of an Enlightenment philosopher and so forth. So it's all there for you. You don't have to turn to I wonder how old this guy was. I wonder who this guy was. It's all there for you. I've tried to make it as simple as possible. And what's different about this book among my books is I want you to read what these people who had enormous influence had to say. I talk about it, but you need to hear from them. And I make the case. You know, philosophy is not just an academic matter. It determines what kind of life you're going to have. Philosophy determines what kind of life you have because it's people with ideas that founded this nation, people with ideas who led this nation. There are people with ideas today who run this nation. And some of the ideas are exceptional, and some of these ideas are diabolical and disastrous. And where does this all come from? And which people should we focus on? Not to the exclusion of others, but among the most important philosophers and thinkers and so who should we focus on? And why does it matter? Why does it matter to me today when I'm trying to find a job? Why does it matter to me when I'm trying to raise a family? Why does it matter to me when I have to pay my tax? It matters. It determines what kind of life you're going to have. What kind of society and environment. I don't mean the weather. What kind of governing environment you're going to live in. I believe this is the best book I've ever written, and I've written some great books. Now, you'll ultimately determine that. I struggled a little bit over the title of the book. Rediscovering Americanism. That came to me a little bit more quickly than the subtitle, but Rediscovering Americanism. I almost called it Back to the Drawing Board, but I thought people would think I'm talking about the Republican Party or Trump. I'm not. Back to the Drawing Board had more to do with what's happened to us from the time of the founding and before. I said, no, let's discuss what it means, this term Americanism. Let's discuss what it really means and where it comes from and why it's so important. And the tyranny of progressivism. Because progressivism, or I prefer to call it utopian statism. That's the whole point of Ameritopia. But when you're writing about it from a position of scholarship, you have to call it what it's called, traditionally. And I explain that in the book. But apart from that, progressivism is an ideology that is tyrannical. It's the anti-Americanism. So where does that come from? Why has that taken such a hold on our society? How has this happened? It's important to understand these things. It's crucially important to understand these things. And I fully understand that members of Congress don't care. I fully understand the editorial writers at the Wall Street Journal don't care. I understand all that. But they don't matter. You matter. I want you to understand it, or at least have some interest in it, and you'll be able to pursue it on your own once you've read the book. And the book, the text of the book is what, 200, 220 pages, something like that? So I've kept it as concise as I could, with the usual Levin endless endnotes at the back for you to have sources. But I've also included within the text information, so as you read it, you know who these people are, when they lived, what they wrote, when they wrote it, and that sort of thing. So we're a ways away, as they say, July 4th. I was planning on doing 5 book signings. I may have to do less. We'll see. We haven't set a date yet, but I will definitely go to the Reagan Library. That's a tradition. And I'd like to do one in my area, Northern Virginia, and I'd like to do one in New Jersey. That's already 3. And I promised the folks in Dallas, so we'll see. That's the hope. And then maybe one more, perhaps in Florida. But we'll see. But that doesn't matter either. That doesn't matter either. I want to get into it with you now. I have completed it. We're down to little edits here and there. The cover's complete. Everything's complete. Except it takes time to get in line to publish a book. It takes time to get it to the retailers and so forth. This book will be everywhere. It's on Amazon.com right now if you want to pre-order a copy. And to my amazement, it's already 34% off. They give deep discounts to books, so you'll pre-order it. And they give deep discounts to books that they think are going to be big hits. So Amazon thinks this book is going to be a big hit. And so they're trying to get, quite frankly, ahead of the other retailers, the brick-and-mortar stores, because they can't get the books until they actually come out. And we will be promoting the hell out of them, too. I just want Barnes & Noble and the warehouse stores and Books A Million, all of them to know we will be pressing that, too. They have been extremely fair to me. They don't hide books and do all the rest of it. That's all that conspiracy crap. They want to make money, too. They want to stay in business, too. And business is tough in the publishing world. But I have the original right in front of me, and I'm dying to get into it with you, but I can't. So I put it right back down there, and that's where it goes. Let me tell you about Hillsdale College. What do you really know about our rich American history and heritage? Can you tell the key stories that help make our country exceptional? If not, take a listen. Hillsdale College has a new, free, online course on our unique American story that's unlike anything else, and it covers our external and internal struggles for freedom. Now, if you're thinking that you just don't have the time, well, I get that. I work 20 hours a day, too. It's tough. So take my challenge, then. Just watch 5 minutes of the first lecture by my dear friend, the president of Hillsdale College, Dr. Larry Arnn, on why it's important to study American history, and I guarantee just 5 minutes, you'll be hooked. You and your children need to take this course because it provides information you won't find anywhere else. Your kids will not get this in school. We didn't get it in school. And it's available for free to teachers and their classes, too. Free to all of you. I want you to try it. You can access this powerful American Heritage course at levinforhillsdale.com, Levin for Hillsdale.com. As always, it's free as part of Hillsdale's mission to help all Americans pursue truth and defend liberty. Levinforhillsdale.com. You know, Hillsdale started advertising in a broadcast medium, specifically radio, on this program right here. Because we have so much in common. That is, what I talk about and what they teach. And so there's a synergy there. There's an overlap there. And I'm just thrilled to have them as a sponsor. Thrilled to have them as a sponsor. All right. I haven't taken a single call. You know what? Let's start. Paul, Hawthorne Woods, Illinois, Sirius Satellite. Go.
Hi, Mark. Love your show. Kids love you,
Thank
too.
You. Thank you.
I just wanted to point out that I've been enduring lectures about disenfranchised voters from the Democrats for years and years, and I just hope the Republicans will listen when they understand that I look at this cover-up and what Susan Rice and the whole media crowd has done is an attack on my vote, and I expect them to protect me from it and to do a smart and relentless pursuit of the guilty people here and punish those parties. That I'm just fed up that I'm afraid they're just going to kind of get bored with it and look away and move on with business as usual, and they need to get to the bottom of it. And they also need to wise up that every time a Democrat accuses somebody of doing something, it's because they're about to get caught of doing that. And they know if they get the story out, the public will get tired of it, and by the time the truth shows up, everyone's bored with it and has moved on. And I've seen them do it with Russia and a million other things.
You're right.
Republicans need to get smart and get with the program and pursue this like it means something, because it means something to me. And I've been putting them in office, and they need to protect us from what we're constantly lectured on by the other side.
Well, listen to this. The Gallup poll out yesterday, Congress approval drops to 20% after a high in February. And it's dropped, Republican approval drops from 50% in February to 31%. And I'm going to tell you why. In addition to what you're talking about, Paul Ryan really dragged the House down. He listened to the progressive wing of the Republican Party, which will always destroy this party. They went to war with the Freedom Caucus, which represents the heart and soul of the Republican Party, quite frankly. But they also went to K Street and the Wall Street Journal editorial page and cobbled together what is truly crap. And so the Freedom Caucus has been trying to fix it. So the Obamacare debacle, the fact that McConnell has essentially announced that they're not putting money in the budget to build the wall and secure the border, because he's a complete fake, too. And, even when it comes to the United States military, I don't see any quick action to get them the funds that they need to rebuild after the disastrous 8 years of Obama. So you can see a number of areas. We can point to the Supreme Court. That's a good thing. But really, Congress has responsibilities that start with Congress, whether it's spending, whether it's authorizing legislation and so forth. And really, can you point to anything that Congress has done, Paul?
No.
No, and that's why you've had enough. And me too. And you have a guy like Devin Nunes step up, and who attacks him? John McCain. We're so sick of John McCain. We're so sick of Lindsey Graham. We're so sick of Mitch McConnell. We're just tired of these people. Are we not?
We are.
All right, my friend. Thank you. And what a hell of a voice, by the way. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
I really wish that it was easier for there to be another political party. It's just not. I mean, when you look at recent history, when you look at the last 100 years, every third party effort has been a disastrous failure. And really the best effort was the Progressive Party, the Bull Moose Party under Theodore Roosevelt. He got more votes than Taft did in the Republican Party. But they split the vast majority of the vote, and we got Woodrow Wilson, which was a disaster. This is always my fear. And yet it's so obvious the Republican Party's out of gas. It's so obvious. When you read, like yesterday's Wall Street Journal editorial page, or when you read other surrogates for the Republican Party, or listen to them, when you read the Fred Barnes, or listen to Brit Humes, or read some aspects of National Review, which I like, or whatever, they're in defense mode. They're defending something that is mostly ineffective against this juggernaut, this tide that is just overwhelming us. They have a victory here and there, and then they start trashing you and me. See this? Look at this. Look how wonderful we're doing. I mean, we have over $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities. The border is wide open. The United States military is being eviscerated from within. Our culture is being turned on the head by third-party cultures, people coming into this country and refusing to assimilate, and we're told this is a good thing. Our college campuses, which are supposed to promote free speech and academic freedom, are little Stalinist enclaves now. Capitalism is under attack, not just by the progressives, but by the nationalist populists. We don't even appreciate the liberty that's left, the private property rights that are left, the commerce that's left. And the Republican Party is a vessel exactly for what? The John McCain types? The Susan Collins types? They're the tail that wags the dog. Paul Ryan, nobody gives a better speech about capitalism than Paul Ryan. But that's it. That's where it begins and ends. As Speaker of the House and as former chairman of the Budget Committee and the Ways and Means Committee, a disaster. Just another in a long line of disasters. And so if we don't turn out, the Democrats come back in, the radical kooks. If we do turn out, we put these fools in office and they uphold most of what the radical kooks have done. It's unbelievable to me. And even within the Trump White House, where are the conservatives? Where are the damn conservatives around the President of the United States? Where are they? Let me tell you about Delta Defense. What if I told you that when you walk to your mailbox today, you'll find the $1,500 you've been needing to finally buy the gun of your dreams? You could add that Kimber, our new hunting rifle, to your collection. Or what about the custom 1911 you've been drooling over? Well, the dream will come true for 10 of you, thanks to my good friends over at the United States Concealed Carry Association, who provide education, training, and self-defense insurance for responsible gun owners like you and me. Now, if you're ever forced to shoot, or even just draw your gun in self-defense, the USCCA will be your first call after 9/11 to help you navigate the murky waters of the legal system and keep you out of hot water. But remember, their giveaway won't last forever. And $1,500, that's a lot of money. You'll basically be able to pick any gun off the shelf. Don't miss this opportunity. Your entry to win is 100% free. Head over to defendthem.com right now to lock in your 10 chances to win the gun of your dreams. That's defendthem.com, and you can win a brand new gun. Defendthem.com. We take over the vast majority of the state legislatures. We take over the vast majority of the governorships. Starting in 2010, the Tea Party movement. And what does the Republican establishment do? Trashes it. What do their surrogate media mouthpieces do? Trashes it. And it builds again in 2012. Take over more legislatures, more governorships, more House seats, more Senate seats. 2014, oh, give us the Senate. Oh, nothing will stop us after that. We give them the damn Senate, and what do those fools do? They make McConnell the majority leader. Yes, indeed. Don't worry, we'll get rid of Obamacare. Well, it's still here. Don't worry, we'll secure the border. Well, it's still unsecure. Don't worry, we'll slash taxes. Well, they haven't been slashed. Mark, we can't do everything in 100 days. How about doing one of them, Congress? One of them. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Levin. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. Nikki Haley. I can't get enough of her lectures at the United Nations to our enemies and adversaries. I can't. And I don't think you can either. You know, when you have a standout public official, and she's become a standout public official, I'm amazed, but she has. Well, you want to focus some attention. Here she is at the UN today. Cut 11, go.
Getting serious about peace also means we have to be honest about Iran's role in Syria. Iran is Assad's chief accomplice in the regime's horrific acts. Standing next to Assad's generals are Iranian advisors whispering in their ears or giving orders. Standing next to Assad's soldiers are Hezbollah militias with weapons courtesy of Iran and the power to overrule the Syrian military. Iran is dumping fuel on the flames of this war in Syria so it can expand its own reach. This council needs to bring attention to Iran's barbaric acts in Syria. We need to collectively demand that Iran stop. We need to make sure Iran cannot use Syria as a base to keep terrorizing the Syrian people and the entire region. This council needs to be serious about peace in Syria, too.
Cut 12, go.
To my colleagues from Russia, you are isolating yourselves from the international community every time one of Assad's planes drop another barrel bomb on civilians, and every time Assad tries to starve another community to death. People not just in the West, but across the Middle East and the world are speaking out against Assad's brutality. It is long past time for Russia to stop covering for Assad. It is long past time for Russia to push seriously for peace and not continue to be part of the problem.
I bet you Putin wishes every minute of every day that Hillary Clinton was president of the United States. Cut 13, go.
Now is the time Russia needs to show the world whether they genuinely want to be a part of the political process. We need to see a real ceasefire on the ground. We need to see a credible political process through which Syrians can chart their future. We need to see Russia choose to side with the civilized world over an Assad government that brutally terrorizes its own people. The United States is ready to do our part. Russia, too, needs to do its part.
Now, that's the administration dealing with Russia. You heard earlier in the program Tillerson going toe-to-toe with the Russian foreign minister. Now you've heard Nikki Haley at the UN. Message is the same. You've heard the President of the United States dealing with Russia. Now I want you to hear Trump talking about China. First, I'm going to have you listen to him talk about Russia and then China. Cut 16, go.
Do you think it's conceivable, what's your instinct, was it possible that Syrian forces could have launched that attack in Idlib last week without the Russians knowing?
I think it's certainly possible. I think it's probably unlikely. And I know they're doing investigations into that right now. I would like to think that they didn't know, but certainly they could have. They were there. So we'll find out. General Mattis is looking into it with the entire Pentagon group that does that kind of work.
So Russia is a focus, and that's the president. You've heard the Secretary of State. You've heard the ambassador to the UN. Now China. Trump was asked about China at the news conference today. Cut 17, go.
President Xi wants to do the right thing. We had a very good bonding. I think we had a very good chemistry together. I think he wants to help us with North Korea. We talk trade. We talk a lot of things. And I said, the way you're going to make a good trade deal is to help us with North Korea. Otherwise, we're just going to go it alone. That'll be all right, too. But going it alone means going it with lots of other nations. But I was very impressed with President Xi, and I think he means well, and I think he wants to help. We'll see whether or not he does.
We'll see whether or not he does. Now, I said earlier in the program there seems to be a strategy here, in addition to all else that we're seeing, and that is to isolate Russia, for the U.S. to create a wedge between Russia and China, which is actually quite clever, actually quite smart, as long as China doesn't take advantage of us. Now, we do have our fleet, our carrier fleet, off of the Korean Peninsula. Now, do you think for 1 minute that under the Obama administration, if we had put an entire fleet, a carrier fleet, off the Korean Peninsula, that China would be as quiet about it as they are today? There's no way. Communist, genocidal maniacs, fascist genocidal maniacs, a.k.a. China and Russia, respect power. They respect power and decisiveness. I'm telling you that hit in Syria was a big deal. That hit in Syria occurred while he's having dinner with the president of China, regardless of what Putin thought about it. It's a big deal. And Trump's already said, I'm not sending troops into Syria. Of course, McCain and Lindsey Graham et al. Are all worked up about that. They won't be happy until we have 400,000 troops again in the Middle East, but that's their problem. Hey, how'd that democracy project go? But anyway, so things have been shaken up a little bit, and they had to be shaken up a little bit. I only have, 45 minutes left in the program, so we're going to keep moving. I'll tell you what. This show, I think, in the last several months, given all the news and so forth, maybe the last 6 months, I've never been more excited to get behind the microphone. I've never had more to talk about. It's every day. It's every day, so I hope you're enjoying it too. Chris Matthews. I lost my place, Mr. Producer. I want you to listen to Chris Matthews. What cut is that? I want you to listen to Cut 10, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before I play it, this is from 2013, Chris Matthews on MSLSD. I want you to tell me how it's possible that Chris Matthews still has a job, given all the tumult and all the high dudgeon with respect to this guy, Sean Spicer. I don't think Sean Spicer is a particularly good press secretary. He used to be Reince Priebus's press secretary at the RNC. I don't think he's particularly sharp. It's nothing personal. I've never cared for the guy. But he's been brutalized over a comment he made, which he quickly clarified. And he keeps apologizing for it. Over and over again. And Wolf Blitzer on CNN, that fraud, had him on there and kept grilling him. Apologize. You apologize? We have Holocaust victims in the... As if Sean Spicer meant that Hitler didn't use chemical weapons to slaughter Jews and others. That's not what Sean Spicer meant. And a reporter asked him a follow-up question, and he quickly clarified. In fact, he was so concerned about what he had originally said, he started to really stutter, and he lost his place because I think he was upset by it. But I want you to listen to Chris Matthews about 3.5 years ago. Go ahead.
Well, the problem is, and I don't like it. First of all, I'm rather dovish, but I don't like what I'm going to say, but it's true.
Actually, you're rather stupid. Go ahead.
You basically lied, put down a red line and say, don't use chemical weapons. And it's been enforced in the Western community and around the world, the international community for decades. Don't use chemical weapons. We didn't use them in World War II. Hitler didn't use them. We don't use chemical weapons.
Whoa! Hitler didn't use chemical weapons in World War II. Did he not say that, Mr. Producer? Chris Matthews? And I believe he was at least quasi-sober when he said that. So tell me, ladies and gentlemen, with Nancy Stretch Pelosi and her ping-pong ball eyeballs bouncing around, demanding that Sean Spicer be fired. What did she have to say about Chris Matthews? Nothing. What did anybody have to say about Chris Matthews? Nothing. Why wasn't he suspended or fired? Well, because. Because. He wasn't even asked to take a 2-week vacation. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
First in Dallas, Texas, the great WBAP. Go.
Hey, I love you, brother. I believe that history will show that Donald Trump was a masterful chess player who, during the first several months of his administration, revealed that even the talk radio guys and gals weren't keeping up. I listened to a lot of you all. And
what are you talking about?
Oh,
keeping up with what exactly?
Very specifically, you just said a little while ago that you played the quote of Donald Trump saying that China's not manipulating its currency, and you threw out there, well, they are. Well, they are, and he knows they are, correct? He knows that, but he said it, and he said it for a reason, and you cannot discount the timing. They made.
There's a difference between you and me. You're a cultist. There's nothing Donald Trump can ever say, because in your mind, if he's playing the long game, he's always right.
Mark.
Because, just listen to me, I'm educating you. Because this is what liberals do. Liberals say, yeah, we know this failed. It's because we didn't have enough taxes. It's because we didn't have enough government. Because you're telling me, even though, Mark, it's obvious, I listen to you all the time, there are things you really like about Trump, some things you question about Trump. You don't like him as much as I do. And that's because you don't understand that whatever he's doing now, in 20 years from now, 10 years from now, it'll be demonstrated to be brilliant.
You bailed.
I can't think that way, Forrest. That's not the way my mind works.
Am I still on?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, I think that was not honest. That is absolutely not who I am. I'm trying to make an honest point.
But you're making a foolish point, which is this guy. All right. Thanks for your call. He's just too emotional. We get this all the time, don't we, Mr. Producer? I understand. I understand the pom-poms and the rockets. I really, really do. I really do. But this is not the way my mind works. It's called the ability to reason. China is a currency manipulator. I didn't say that Trump wasn't giving them a pass because he has a bigger idea what to do with China. It's perfectly fine. But they are a currency manipulator. Period. Oh, Mark, you and the other guys, you haven't figured it out yet. Figured what out yet? Well, he's playing a different game. I know what he's doing. He's giving China some leeway because he wants to use China against North Korea. Do you know how I know that? Because he said it. He said it. I happen to agree with him. But no, you guys just don't understand. You really don't. Tony, Menifee, California, Sirius Satellite. Where is Menifee, California?
It's near Temecula, southern Riverside, California.
Oh, near Riverside. Okay.
Yeah, the red part of the state.
Yeah, well, there's like, 3 square miles left? But anyway, go right ahead.
Well, thank you for having me on. And I've been on hold for a little bit. I want to go back to the Sean Spicer thing that you were mentioning about him making this mistake. What's happening is that this ridiculous leftist media is barraging him, constantly barraging him, getting him to stumble. Now, like you said, yeah, we could have a better press secretary, someone who wouldn't get so frazzled. But I mean, the man is trying to do the right thing to put out.
Look, I didn't think he was impressive when he was Reince Priebus's press secretary, going around making excuses for Reince Priebus. But look, I'm defending him in this instance. I think, look, he misspoke. He immediately clarified. He immediately explained, and I felt bad for him, actually, because I knew he was going to take more crap than is possible. But, no, I don't think he's... Well, I've already said my piece. I'm not looking to dump on the guy any further.
I'm not dumping on him.
I didn't say I said I'm not looking to.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But I'm sitting there, I'm feel for this guy. He's trying to do his job, and as someone trying to get the news of the day, all I see is that they're trying to get him to stumble. They're barraging him with...
No, that was an unforced error. It had nothing to do with the Third Reich, World War II, the Holocaust. He was going in areas that... He was just talking too fast, and he got caught up in his own rhetoric. And you got to be careful about that.
I understand. He needs to stop and slow down a little bit.
I agree. He doesn't have to... Just slow down, think about what they said, think about your answer, and know that they're gunning for you.
Right. I mean, that last idiot that was up there for Obama's mouthpiece, that guy...
Yes, Josh, not Ernest. I agree with you.
Right. This guy got up there. No, we didn't pay a ransom. No, we didn't do this. No, we didn't do that. A week later, okay, we paid ransom. Yeah.
But listen, we're always going to have it tougher. We are always going to have it tougher. And so you got to be better prepared for it. So slow down, don't talk so fast, and don't start going off into tributaries that don't really have any connection to what you're trying to say.
But what is it?
All right, Tony, you've said it twice. What do you want me to say to you?
All right.
Three times?
Trying to figure it out as a voter, as an American. I want to know what the left is...
Here it is. The media suck. There it is. I explained it.
All right.
All right, my brother. Jerry, Passaic, New Jersey, the great WABC. Go.
Mark, I'm happy about the judge that we finally got, number one. And number two, if it was up to me, I'd get rid of that whole previous crew, including Ryan and the other two idiots from his state, that Duffy guy and Riebel, that whole Rhino coalition from Wisconsin, among other things.
Well, unfortunately, the voters see it differently. But I really don't see Ryan as a very successful Speaker of the House. And according to people I've talked to in the Freedom Caucus and so forth, he never consults with them. He didn't consult with them when he brought out this bill. And it's really Mark Meadows, who is really a leader who's trying to get something done, who's reaching out, trying to limit what their demands are, but trying to make demands that are of the sort that they made during the campaigns, the promises. So that's what's going on.
I feel that this whole sham, all those 60-odd votes, were nothing more than a bunch of rubbish. They were strictly show. They should have had a bill ready to go on day one.
I agree with you completely. Jerry, thanks for your call, my friend. We'll be right back. You know, if you want the absolute best shirts around, you have to check out CT Shirts. I want you to try them because once you do, you'll never go back to some random shirt off the shelf at some department store. It's true. Plus, CD shirts, well, they come in custom sizes, so you're not messing with ill-fitted sleeve lengths or neck sizes. It's time to step up your game and look your best, so I got you a special CT Shirts deal, too. CT Shirts are British-styled, using the softest, most exquisite fabrics ever. Work or casual, tie or no tie, tucked or untucked. When you're wearing a CT shirt, you look great, and you know it. So here's the deal. One CT shirt normally costs $100, but right now, you'll get three CT shirts for just $99. That's 60% off. And CT shirts come with free delivery, a 6-month quality guarantee, and free returns. Hello, let me repeat that. Free delivery, a 6-month quality guarantee, and free returns. And if you hurry, $99 gets you 3 amazing CT shirts. Go to ctshirts.com/Levin. ctshirts.com/Levin. That's ctshirts.com/Levin. You know, there are other programs on other networks and so forth. If you want to call there and just do the cult thing, you can do it all day long. There are other hosts that will entertain it all day long. I don't know if there's been another host, because I can't listen to everybody, who's been stronger in his defense of what Trump did in Syria and what Trump's doing with Russia, and right now what Trump's doing with China, than moi. But when it comes to infrastructure and the Herbert Hoover trade stuff and all the rest, you're going to hear strong criticism. But I am not here as a cultist, one way or another. I'm not here as a saboteur, out to harm the president either. I'm here because I believe in liberty and because I'm trying to spread the word. And I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm not going to change for any politician. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. Let's go to Gabe, El Paso, Texas. KTSM, go.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me. I appreciate this.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I just wanted to say Donald Trump, the president, initially ran on a platform that seemed kind of anti-Saudi and, the warming of relations with the Russians. But now it seems like night and day compared to then. Saudi euphoria is at an all-time high with our new leadership. And
Hold on. Why do I care if Saudi Arabia's support for Trump is at an all-time? What does Saudi Arabia have to do with anything?
I was getting to that point, sir. So what I'm saying is the platform that he ran on seems to not be existing to this day. It seems like he's more influenced by his cabinet.
Well, let me disagree with you there, too. In some instances, I think you're right, but certainly not the entirety of it.
Yes, sir.
You still want, there's a number of areas on his platform that he still embraces.
Foreign policy is what I'm focusing on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Foreign policy seems different. The cabinet that the platform that he ran on seemed to be,
you're right. It does. Yep, I agree.
Okay.
Now, we're going to run out of time. What does Saudi Arabia have to do with anything?
Nothing. I do want to say I think Iran is the biggest problem out of Russia, North Korea, and Iran. Iran has terror cells in Dearborn and San Jose and all over the country. They're responsible for 9/11. I think Trump needs to focus his attention on Iran. That's just my opinion.
All right, sir. Thanks for your call. So Iran's responsible for that. Anybody can call and throw out whatever they want. But let's see if we can step up our game here with some of these calls here. Let us try David, Beverly Hills, California, Sirius Satellite. Yes, David.
How are you, Mark? It's a pleasure to talk to a patriot like you.
Thank you.
I'm an old weasel, but I've got a couple of things I wanted to mention. Number one, the gravity of the situation. You see, the opposition, the Democrats, they slime everything. They make everything sound like it's murder in the first degree. And God, we got to get to it immediately when what we have right now is really the subversion of the Constitution of the United States and the duly elected president in Donald Trump being subverted by the prior administration. I call that not espionage. It is treason of the highest level. And you could see that in when the roadblocks that they were taken back. Number one, they thought, well, we're investigating him, we're looking into him, we're spying, but Hillary will get in. We have plenty of time to clean that crap up. Pardon my English, but the reality is this. They got caught by losing, and then they said, uh-oh, what are we going to do now? So he left roadblocks by throwing the Russians out. You remember when Obama did, he left a barrage in front of Donald Trump. The problem is what we really need is, and Jeff Sessions is a wonderful man, you needed someone in the Attorney General, a real prosecutor. You needed a man like Rudy Giuliani.
Whoa. Jeff Sessions is a real prosecutor. He was a United States attorney, and he was the Attorney General of Alabama. What are you talking about?
No. You are right, but I'm talking about a guy that would go for the jugular.
Stop with the Rudy Giuliani already. I was in the Reagan administration. I remember Rudy Giuliani. He was no conservative in the Reagan administration. He was a good mayor, a solid mayor. But there's a lot of things he's liberal on. I remember when he was for illegal immigration. Oh, he pretends he's not now. So let's not build Rudy up to something he never was. I don't dislike him. I think he's quite effective. But we have a real prosecutor over there at the Justice Department.
What do you think about it? And people never mention this attorney. I really wish he was the Solicitor General.
All right, I got to go. I got to move on here. Let's see. Steve, Chicago, Illinois, the WLS station there. How are you, Steve?
I'm very good. How are you? Yeah, I just wanted a real quick comment. With Trump sending the fleet to the Korean Peninsula, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I was on a flight on internal China Airlines, and the Chinese...
What is a flight on internal China Airlines? You mean within the country of China?
Yes, sir. And the flight was grounded for about 12 hours because the Chinese essentially grounded all airline traffic, scrambled jets to force the joint Korean and U.S. Fleets out of their water zones. And when I got back here to the States, there wasn't a mention of this in the news whatsoever. It was widely covered in China at the time, and it was kind of touch and go on the plane because the whole plane, the back of the plane, the passengers, local Chinese, stood up. They were angry. You could hear them talking, and once in a while they'd say Obama, USA, in a very...
Okay, where are we going with this? Go ahead.
Okay, all I wanted to say is I guess things change somewhat because at that time the Chinese were forcing the American fleets out of their areas actively. And now we're sending a fleet there, and I would imagine...
That's what I just said.
I'm sorry?
That's what I said. This is quite different. We put a fleet off the Korean Peninsula. They would never have... And they haven't said a damn thing about it. They would never have responded the same way with Obama.
Exactly, and I'm just reiterating that. Simply, they actively did it about 5 or 6 years ago, and there wasn't a mention in the paper here or in the news media whatsoever.
Okay, but I had the observation, I think last hour, that Obama would never have sent a fleet, and the Chinese response, had he sent a fleet, would have been quite different than what it is today, which is basically they're keeping their mouths shut.
Exactly. And at the time...
All right, thanks for your call. Let's see. Charles, Mobile, Alabama, Sirius Satellite, go.
Yes, thank you, Mark. I just don't understand why Trump is keeping these Obama leftovers. It doesn't make any sense because it seems like they are going to work against him.
It's quite bizarre, isn't it? They're so concerned that the appointees they make have 100% allegiance to Trump, that they never backed anybody else in the Republican primaries. But, of course, if they voted for Hillary Clinton, the liberal Democrats in New York, and they work for Goldman Sachs, then they'll hire him and put him around him and put him at Treasury and put him here and put him there. But if you dared to work for Cruz or Rubio or this one or that one, then they screen you out. In the meantime, your point is well taken, there are 3,000 damn jobs, and they're filled with Obamaites until you move them out. Yeah. You're quite right. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Why? Neither do a lot of Republicans.
All right, sir. Thank you for your call. We have Francois in New Mexico on Sirius. Yes, Francois. How may I help you?
Oh, Mark, it's you. Hey, how you doing? Happy Wednesday.
Yes, Francois. Go right ahead, sir.
Well, I was telling you, you're a fantastic call screener. I just wanted your thought process on what you think about Trump and his backtracking on China, Russia, Syria, and NATO during the campaign when he was all this way, and now he's the opposite way right now. What do you think about that?
I think his original supporters are going to be very upset.
Well,
that's
we're on
what
the
I
same
think.
sheet of music then.
Now remember, I backed Cruz during the Republican primary.
That in fact, you did.
Hold on now. And I supported Trump early September in the general election to defeat Hillary, and I gave my specific reasons for it. And I said, despite the fact I have serious disagreements with him on a number of issues. Now, that said, some of the areas I criticized him with his attacks on NATO, I thought was absurd. His bizarre comments about Russia, which seemed very bizarre, almost like Code Pink Republicans, and that's where I put that phrase together and coined it. I wasn't so much concerned about his comments about China because I think China has been a serious national security threat, and he was always critical of China. So, yes, in many respects in foreign policy, he's changed his position.
Well, as always, you're very erudite in your opinion, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Francois.
Now,
hold on, Francois. You're from New York originally, aren't you?
Yeah, as a matter, you were able to pick that up. God, you are so smart.
Hold on. Francois, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your name isn't, what's your real name? Dominic? What's your name?
Oh, come on. You can't tell me to divulge your top secret information. That's like...
All right, I'll play along. Francois, why are you in New Mexico?
Hey, have you ever been here? You got to
just pay attention to my answer. Simple. Why are you in New Mexico?
Because it's a blue state, it's beautiful, and I got lots of liberal friends.
All right. But you left the high-tax state, didn't you, Francois?
No, because, hey, listen.
Yeah. You left a state with massive income taxes, massive property taxes, taxes up the wazoo. Why would you destroy a state, go to another state, and try and destroy that state? This is why I call you... Hold on, pay attention. I'm educating you. This is why I call you liberals locusts.
No, come on.
No, you destroyed New York. Now you're destroying New Mexico. New Mexico wasn't always a Democrat. Oh, yes, you are. Let me guess. You vote for liberal Democrats in New Mexico, yes or no?
Well, actually, I voted for Steve Pierce. Yes, I did.
Yeah. You want high taxes in New Mexico, then maybe you'll move to, say, Florida. And you'll vote for high taxes. That's what I mean. You schmoes never learn. Thank me for your call. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You folks a question. You know, over the years, I've not been a Bill O'Reilly fan because he attacks talk radio. He's attacked me. Just never been a real fan of him. And you see all these reports coming out. New York Times, New York something or other, this Gabe Sherman fella, CNN. It's constant. It's constant. And the reporting about this allegation of sexual, this allegation of sexual. I'm thinking back. I was talking to Mr. Producer during the break. Do you remember this kind of coverage of Bill Clinton, President of the United States, who was a sexual abuser, a pervert, who assaulted women left and right, was accused of rape? Do you remember the New York Times covering him the way they're covering O'Reilly? Do you remember CNN covering him the way they cover O'Reilly? Or this guy, Gabe Sherman? Do you remember him? You don't even know who he is. But it's a remarkable thing. Now, there are Bill O'Reillys in other newsrooms and in other cable television networks. Aren't there, CNN? Aren't there? And I said, I don't say this as a defense of O'Reilly. I'm certainly not a special pleader for him. But I'm article after article, news report after news report, on and on and on. You'd think he was Bill Clinton. Except Bill Clinton never got that kind of coverage. Ever. From these liberal media outlets. Are you getting the best night's sleep you ever had? If not, get a Casper mattress like I did. I have a lot of great days because I get great night's sleep every night. Casper was invented with 2 high-tech foams that is all the support you need, guaranteeing you get a great night's sleep. You know, Monday when I wasn't here, we were celebrating Passover. We were having a Seder. And one of my buddies, matter of fact, I think it was Teddy again. And Teddy says to me, do you really like the Casper mattress? I said, I love the Casper mattress. I sleep on the Casper mattress. Barney sleeps on his Casper mattress. We have 6 of them and one for Barney, 6.5. I said, you need to try it. You're going to love it. And I want to tell you the same thing. It was invented with 2 high-tech foams, has all the support you need, guaranteeing you get a great night's sleep. It ships free in a box so small, you won't believe it holds a mattress. And I love the Casper. They let you try the mattress for 100 nights in your own home, risk-free. They'll pick it up and refund you everything. Everything if you don't like it. And I know you're going to love it. From its breakthrough design to its packaging to trying it for 100 nights, it's no wonder Casper was named one of Fast Company's 50 most innovative brands of 2017. Sleeping on a mattress is the best way to try it. No, not at a strip mall, where you get on there and you put your head where 400 other people put their heads. You don't want to do that. Get a Casper. Go to Casper.com, use code MARK, and you'll get $50 towards the purchase of your mattress. That's Casper.com, code MARK. Get $50 towards the purchase of your mattress. Casper.com, terms and conditions apply. Well. Let's see who we have here. We have Chuck, Kingsport, Tennessee, on the Mark Levin app. Yes, Chuck.
How you doing, brother?
Whoa, everybody with great voices is calling. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. First of all, I want to thank you. My daughter, she went and got that book. I can't remember the name of it. It was about Lincoln. My dad's book. My granddaughter.
Yeah.
And she loved it.
Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, illustrated.
Yes.
Yep.
And my granddaughter's 6, and I mean, she loves it. And that was a great book. And then you sent me a copy of the Liberty Amendments.
Yes, sir.
And my daughter, I'm in Tennessee. My daughter and her husband is stationed at Fort Hood. Yeah. But I sent her, after I read it, I sent it to her. And she loves that too. So
thank you. You're going to love my next book. It doesn't come out for a few months, but I know you're going to love Rediscovering Americanism.
And just on a personal note, I just became a grandfather again. She just had a baby on Sunday.
Well, congratulations, brother. God bless you. And give her my absolute best. Isn't that exciting? It is exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, we salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, and, of course, emergency personnel. Check out Levin TV tonight. I know you're going to love it. You get 7-day free trial. And I'll see you on the radio tomorrow. God bless you, my beloved audience. Take care.